What's up guys, Brownie here coming to you with another AFKJourney video, and today we're going to be talking about two heroes I think synergize rather well together. And the two heroes are VALA and Seth, so let's go ahead and hop in and take a look at them. We'll take a look at VALA first because her skill page is very long. I'm going to try to quickly read through this. So it says when VALA casts a skill at an empty tile, so she's casting that empty tile and not an enemy, she'll jump to that tile and then she'll prioritize shooting the enemy she has marked. So that marked enemy has that like purple looking flower above their head. So she'll target them, she'll deal 450 damage to them and stun them for 4 seconds. So a nice decent safe ultimate, keeps her at a safe distance, and it also interrupts the enemy and does some decent damage. Now if Vala is in, or if Vala casts the skill at an enemy, she'll switch to her sword mode and she'll rush to the target, dealing 420% true damage. And this is a massive hit and does a ton of damage. A lot of times in PvP, it'll just one shot the enemy, and it's really good. I like that skill a lot. So, and then all of her attacks will become melee attacks when she's in that sword mode. And then in auto battle mode, so this is how PvP is fought in auto battle. It'll run Vala. Basically, she'll start in her ranged mode. She'll have an enemy that's marked, and it'll say Vala will switch to sword mode and prioritize the marked enemy if the HP ratio is below 50%. So the only time she's gonna get into that melee mode is when you have marked enemies that are below 50% HP. And then at the level 2, level 3, level 4, it's pretty much just increasing the damage values, and it's if the hero or if the enemy has more than 50% HP, she'll do more damage in her ranged mode, and if they're lower than 50% HP, she'll do more damage in her melee mode. So it all just depends on their HP ratio of what mode she's going to be in. Now the next skill is notice beforehand. So Vala sends a notice to mark the furthest enemy on when a battle starts, and she attacks that noticed enemy in priority, absorbing 90 energy for each hit, and that actually means she's stealing energy from them. So this can really keep those big heroes like Carolina or Aaron, it can really keep them from building up energy to get those annoying actives off, or those really strong high damaging actives. So being able to mark one of those enemies is really good. Now when a noticed enemy is defeated, Vala will send the notice to another enemy. That's basically, it's going to be based on whether she's in sword mode or sky blaster mode. So if she is in her ranged mode, she'll send the mark to the furthest enemy. If she's in her melee mode, she'll send it to the closest enemy to her, and basically do more damage to them rather quickly because that melee mode is so strong. Now the next skill, checkmate. In Sky Blaster mode, Vala shoots with an exclusive anesthetic bullet, dealing 230 damage to an enemy and reducing their haste by 60 for 8 seconds. So even more energy manipulation and the enemy getting less actives off, or slower actives, which is always a positive in PvP fights, especially against the meta right now. So, and then in sword mode, Vala launches 3 consecutive strikes to an enemy. Each strike deals 100% damage and stuns them for 1 second. So you're gonna get basically 3 stuns on an enemy, and it's gonna keep interrupting their attacks because, you know, she'll stun them. They might break out of the stun, try to do another attack, or try to do their ultimate, and she's gonna stun them right away again, which will interrupt them. And it can just be a really good interruption skill that just helps you win a fight. Her hero focus basically just increases her damage and then gives even more damage or attack increase when enemies die, or non-summoned enemies die. Now her X weapon's pretty important, actually very important. So it states that when a marked enemy is defeated, Vala hides in the darkness and can only be targeted after all other allies are defeated, or after 10 seconds is up, basically. Because it says it increases her movement speed by 60% and haste by 80 for 10 seconds. And I'm pretty sure that 10-second window is also where she hides in the thing, because that sounds way too broken for her to kill an enemy, then hide in the darkness for the rest of the fight where she can't be targeted or anything like that. So I'm pretty sure she becomes untargetable, or becomes targetable again after that 10 seconds is up. So, and then her Supreme Plus, Vala's damage dealt to the marked enemy is increased by 10%. So that's Vala. Let's take a look at Seth. So, hop in here. Seth's ultimate. Seth flashes toward an enemy, dealing 100 damage 3 times, freezes them briefly, and jumps to deal 150% more damage to the target. Seth becomes invincible and recovers HP equal to 25% of the damage dealt during this skill, and Seth prioritizes the weakest enemy. So that's very important there. Seth likes to target the weakest enemy a lot of times, and weakest enemy is always the lowest HP enemy. That's what they mean by the weakest. The level 2 just increases the jump damage. Level 3 increases the HP recovery from Bloodlust stacks to 15% of the total damage dealt. And we'll talk about Bloodlust stacks in a minute. And then at level 4 and 5, it just increases the jump damage even more. Now, the Predator's Lunge, this is a good skill for him because, well, you'll see here in a minute. But Seth pounces on the weakest enemy, so once again, the lowest HP enemy. A lot of times that's going to be Vala's marked enemy, so remember that. He pounces on the weakest enemy in range and deals 150 damage plus 25% of the target's lost HP. The additional damage can't exceed 400% of his attack, and then the other levels just increase that first hit to 160, 170, 180. Now this 25% of the target's lost HP, it's usually going to be a pretty big damage number because Vala is going to have that enemy pretty low health, and a lot of times Seth's Predator's Lunge he'll just jump in, one-shot that enemy, and send Vala into that cloaked form where she can't be targeted or anything, and it just starts a chain reaction of death on the battlefield because they will just like systematically chew through the enemy team one by one. The next skill, Hunter's Instinct. Seth gains a stack of Bloodlust when the HP of a non-summoned enemy first falls below 33%, but at level 2 that turns into 50%. So basically, once Vala gets that first hero below 50% HP, it's going to give Seth a Bloodlust stack. That's going to increase his haste by, if it's maxed, it'll increase it by 12, and then the life drain by 10, and you can get 3 stacks of this, so you can have 36 haste and 30 life drain, which is, it's really good for him building up to an active and also just his own survivability. The life drain that he gets can be very important for him to stay alive. Then after that, it says Seth gains 25% physical damage or physical defense and magic defense when he first triggers Bloodlust. So that's going to be really good against those Aaron and Carolina teams because they're shredding that magic defense, and if Seth can give himself some of that back, it's just going to make him survive better. And then down here it also says Seth gains 25 crit when he first triggers Bloodlust. So triggering Bloodlust is going to basically just give him a big damage boost, and it's going to make Predator's Lunge hit really hard because of that crit. Now, his hero focus just increases his attack, and his X weapon is pretty cool here. So when a non-summoned enemy is defeated, Seth immediately resets the cooldown of Predator's Lunge and recovers 200 energy. And then at level 2, the skill damage dealt by Predator's Lunge is increased by an extra 15% for each casting up to 5 stacks. So basically what's going to happen is you got Vala has the furthest enemy marked. She's going to be picking on that enemy, stealing their energy, stunning them, getting them below 50% HP. That's going to trigger Seth's Bloodlust stack. He's going to jump over to them doing Predator's Lunge and basically one-shotting them because they're going to have a ton of missing HP. And then that's going to trigger Vala to go into her cloaked form, so she won't be targetable. She'll have a ton of movement speed and a ton of haste, and it's just going to allow her to get actives off way quicker and more often. And then since this X weapon is removing the cooldown basically for Predator's Lunge because it just resets it right away, he'll be able to jump to the next weakest target, which will probably be the next marked target that VALA does. And those two are just going to, like I said, systematically go through each enemy, killing them, and just getting stronger and stronger as they kill them, because he's going to be getting more stacks of skill damage from on Predator's Lunge. So it seems like a really good synergy. And then his Supreme Plus skill says that the target's physical defense is reduced by an extra 15% for each stack of Bloodlust if Seth casts Predator Lunge with Bloodlust carried. The effect lasts for 6 seconds. So he's pretty much always going to be casting Predator's Lunge with Bloodlust on him or activated, because VALA is going to get that first enemy to below 50% HP pretty quick. She generally does that rather fast in most fights. So let's go ahead and take a look at these two in action. I have a PvP fight that we can watch. So we'll go ahead and hop in here. Okay, so let's see here. Where's he at? So this fight right here, he's running the Aaron, Hewen, Rowan, Carolina, and Thorin team. I have Rowan, Seth, Shakir, VALA, and Antandra. So Shakir's, obviously, he did the most damage, but mainly that's because he was fighting against Thorin, and he had to pretty much killed his health bar twice, so it gave him a lot extra damage too. But that doesn't always, like, these battle screens aren't always reliable to show you what really happened in the fight, because if VALA and Seth are getting all the kills, then it's important that they're in the fight, not just Shakir. It's not like we won just because Shakir's there. But anyway, let's watch this fight, see what happens. So we're going to watch it in slow speed, and I kept VALA on this side so she wouldn't get sucked in with all the other ones. She's got Aaron marked. She's going to bring him below 50% HP right there. That brings Bloodlust stack to Seth. He jumps over, casts Predator's Lunge, gains energy from it. VALA goes into her cloaked form, does an active, gets a kill in the back line there. Seth, for some reason, ran around. I don't know why, but he's going to come back over here. He's going to do his active and get a kill, which will give another Bloodlust stack. And then they're both just going to destroy Thorin here. And we won the fight. So the team I fought against was pretty much the same power level as me, so I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they didn't have very high X weapons, things like that. There's a lot of variables that I just don't know as to why it worked so well. It might not work against another enemy that is slightly more powerful, or maybe has their X weapons leveled and all that stuff. So I'll have to keep testing this more, but I really think these two heroes together synergize really well, and I think a team could be built around them doing a lot of cool things. So stay tuned for more of that stuff in the future, because I'm definitely going to be working on getting these two heroes very strong. And so anyway, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, or maybe you got some ideas for your own team. And yeah, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.